Welcome to City and State. I'm editorial director Michael Johnson. I'm pleased to be joined today by Milton Tingling, the New York County Clerk. Thanks for joining us. And Judge as well. You replaced the legendary Norman Goodman a little bit more than a year ago. How's this first year gone?
It has been truly a challenge, but it's been very exciting. It's a new venture. I'm learning as I go. I give all the credit to my staff. I was able to retain certain people, some of whom have spent their entire careers in the county clerk's office, and they have been my bedrock. So I'm thrilled.
And you have an interesting path. You are, as you were telling me right before this interview started, the first judge to become a county clerk. How has that informed kind of your approach?
You know, it's very interesting. I'm actually the first black person ever to become a county clerk in the history of New York State. And to show you that span of time, the first county clerk was actually Peter Stuyvesant. But while I'm very honored and proud of that, being an ex-judge has given me a unique perspective into this job that I would recommend any judge that wanted to take this path to look at it. The position is administrative, as opposed to sitting on the bench and rendering decisions all the time. But in that administration, there are so many legal issues that being a lawyer for over 30 years and being a judge for 20 years is a great, unbelievable asset in performing the functions of the county clerk.
That's interesting. I know you came in and you immediately made one of your priorities diversifying the jury pool, which, you know, seems like everyone could say like, oh yeah, you know, obviously the jury pool should look like, you know, what the population is in the county. I think that's kind of a no-brainer in an approach, but it's a much more complicated issue than that. Why did you make this such a priority when you came in?
From being a New York County resident, my father was a lawyer and a judge. I've been in and around the courts, I would venture to say, for probably 50 years of my life. As an attorney, as a judge, having been an attorney in selecting juries and looking at the jury pool and the ability to select jurors that would be reflective of the type of jury pool that I want, it simply hasn't happened. In the many years that I was a judge, I've never, ever seen a majority-minority jury in the county of New York. Most times it is completely to the contrary. I was around during the Amadou Diallo case, and the appellate division, first department, transferred the case from the Bronx to Albany because they felt that a fair trial could not be held in the Bronx, which was perceived to be majority-minority, and therefore they would be against cops. But then they transferred it to a jurisdiction where, in the words of longtime court watchers, I can't remember the last time I saw a minority on a jury. So it works both ways. The only way to deal with it is to have a reflective jury, and the only way to do that is to increase the diversity of the jury pool.
And I think what most people know is that the jurors are selected based on voter registration, and that's kind of where that gets into the key, is that if you want to diversify the jury pool, you have to go out and you have to register people in some of these you know, more ethnically diverse communities. What have you been doing to try to do that? What kind of steps have you been taking to try to do that?
Well, Michael, I have to input this information.
Yeah.
In the federal jury system, what we have are what are called source lists. In the federal system, there are only two source lists: voter registration and motor vehicle registration. In the state system, there are 5 source lists.
Okay.
There's motor vehicle, there is voter registration, there are human resources, which can be unemployment, they can be welfare. There are tax rolls, okay? So my jurisdiction, because I'm not only the county clerk, I'm also the commissioner of jurors and clerk of Supreme Court. In New York County, by my perception and having lived here all of my life, you have a population of 18 to 25-year-old minority males that will never sit on a jury. And it is a combination of them not registering to vote. New York County has to be the most non-car friendly borough in the city. Quite frankly, you don't need a car to get around. Okay, so you don't necessarily have a driver's license. Is an 18 to 25-year-old minority male a majority paying taxes? No. If you're collecting social service benefits, more than likely you're collecting under your parents' name. So you have a whole pool that to me is being disproportionately affected that is not able to participate in the jury system. So towards that end, I have probably taken on more than I should have, but I am coming together with a variety of groups to begin a voter registration project, which well, I'll get to that, but it is geared towards ex-offenders.
Okay.
What happens is that, first of all, many criminal defense attorneys do not know, and certainly most ex-offenders do not know. New York State is one of the states that after you have been convicted of a felony, once you have done all of your probation or parole time or served your sentence, you can vote. If you were registered to vote, the trick is you have to re-register. And if you were not registered to vote, you have to register. Now compare that to Florida, where approximately 31% of otherwise eligible minority males are barred from voting for life. If you're convicted of a misdemeanor, you never lose your right to vote.
Yeah.
So, most criminal defense attorneys don't know that. Certainly the majority of the ex-offender population has no idea. So it came to me that there is a great pool of people out there. So I am beginning a program which I hope to roll out at the end of this month in conjunction with the Fortune Society, New York County lawyers, New York Law School, neighborhood defenders, churches, political clubs, whoever wants to come and help, in which we will be offering voter registration combined with assistance in filling out certificates of relief from civil disabilities. This is certificates of relief from civil disabilities, CORs, remove, with rare exceptions, things that have been forfeited based on your felony conviction.
Gotcha.
You can apply for city jobs, state jobs. Now you can't become a policeman, okay? But so many other things. And I had a fantastic meeting with the Fortune Society the other day, and they were very pleased with a recent federal court ruling in which a landlord had been found guilty of violating the Fair Housing Act because he was discriminating against ex-offenders, solely on that basis. Now, we have another issue which I'm going to put on the table. In order to be qualified as a juror, which I do as commissioner of jurors, and this is announced when you have jurors come in, you have to be at least 18 years old. You have to be a citizen of the United States. You have to be a resident of the county that you are being summoned in. You have to be able to speak and understand English and cannot have been convicted of a felony. That is the judiciary law.
Yep.
But at the same time, you have the corrections law. And the corrections law states that once you have done all of your time, no right, duty, or privilege may be withheld from you solely on the basis that it was forfeited by reason of your felony conviction. So
that means that someone who, had served their time could, in theory, sue to be a juror at this point, or if they wanted to take that case, but that case apparently that law has not been resolved, it seems like.
Well, and with your certificate of relief from civil disabilities, it removes that forfeiture.
Gotcha.
But it's not standard that that's said. The point about it is that I actually have an advisory opinion from the General Counsel of the Office of Court Administration that states there is a conflict, that in his opinion, the corrections law triumphs. But at the same time, it doesn't mean you automatically sit on a jury, that it should be left to the discretion of the commissioner of juror in that jurisdiction. Now, do I want to seat a mass murderer? No, I'm not even thinking about that. However, what I'm looking at is, I'm looking for a Jackie Robinson of all races. And by that I mean I'm talking about the 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old that made a mistake, did his time, but now it's 10 years later, 15 years later, he's gotten a job. He has children, he belongs to a church. He's worked his way up. He's made amends. He has rehabilitated himself. and it's 15 years later, why should that person be forever barred from sitting on a jury?
I mean, if you can find that person, I think that would help the case a lot. What I think I'm hearing, or what's intriguing to me is just that we hear a lot in the public right now and in the media right now about social justice issues. Yes. And obviously there's a lot of frustration in the Eric Garner case, for example, because a grand jury, decided not to prosecute the police officer. I think there's a complete disconnect, though, for the society to know that, like, small things like this, registering to vote or being active to register to vote, would then make you be more part of this process and would make the community less disenfranchised. Do you feel like you get frustrated because maybe you see that the people don't realize this is like a way that they can empower themselves?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I am not. I don't make excuses for minority communities. Mm-hmm. You don't come out and vote. You don't register. One of the things that frustrates me most is to go into my own communities and have people say, I don't want to serve on a jury. I don't want to do this. And I look at them and I say, you're the same person who stands around talking about the justice system is so racist, that they're taking all of our young kids and throwing them away. And yet you don't want to come and sit on a jury? On a jury, one vote means everything. Mm-hmm. So that whole mantra of one vote doesn't make a difference, it does on a jury. These are our children. I speak to senior citizens, I've done my time, it's a hassle and whatnot. And I tell them, I said, when your grandson gets arrested, who do they call for bail? Be surprised how that resonates with so many senior citizens. Because it's like, you know what? You're right.
Interesting. Well, we're going to definitely track this. This is fascinating stuff. We'd love to have you come back and tell us about how this effort works in the future. Judge Tingling, thank you very much for joining us.
Michael, my pleasure. Thank you very much.